What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 50th episode, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, episode here for the Gamers for Life podcast. I am one of yours, Jerrell. With me is my co-host, right-hand man, ABXY, Arthur. What is up, man? Happy 50th.
Yep, that's me playing with a party. No idea what these are called.
Yeah. You've got me beat. I'm not sure myself.
Party poofer. There. No, I'm doing really good, man.
Yeah, man.
I definitely talked your head off. Sorry, you know me. Graveyard sleep. Woke up. Arthur, the sun just went down. And I woke up an hour ago. Yeah, that's how I live.
Yeah, man.
But I was talking your head off, while we were setting up, because I went to my first fucking football game, and I picked a hell of a game to go to. I went to the. I live here in Southern California. The Rams season opener at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
And holy shit, if anybody lives in Southern California, whether it's for a sporting event, a concert, anything, you need to fucking go to SoFi.
Yeah.
So Jerrell knows it. He calls it, the Snapple? What do you call it?
Oh, Snapple Cat Fact, Arthur.
Yeah, I'm just full of little fun facts. I think, and then this is one worth mentioning, especially if you live in Southern California. SoFi Stadium is the most expensive and modern stadium in the world, at $5 billion. And the reason I don't entirely hate it is the owner of the team in SoFi, he actually fronted a lot of money. Because we were talking about this, I think, like after our last episode, how like, if the contract is done wrong, which there usually are, stadiums financially really fuck over a city. Right. Like the whole Brooklyn Nets situation. Right. Yeah, like that got fucked over. But dude, such a fun game. The Rams won 34-14. It was a debut of the new quarterback, Stafford. We got from Detroit. Just an awesome experience. That's that was my first football game. I've been to other games in hockey, a few baseball. I've been to 3 different baseball stadiums, the Coliseum, the Pond, the Dodgers Angels Stadium, previously AT&T Park, now Oracle, where the Generals Giants play. And just everything, it was just so fucking fun, dude. I was telling you, I was talking your head off because I went down the YouTube rabbit hole of like interviews and post-game talks, and how like not only the Rams positioned to be a really good potential Super Bowl team this year, but like I'm fucking hooked, dude. I can't wait to go back to the next game. Yeah. Next home game is against the Buccaneers. I can't go because of work shit, but I need to go back. Like again, that's my thing. My thing coming into going to that game was, even if the Rams lost, I would have had fun because I can say I've been to the most modern stadium on the planet. Right. And it really is. It's that Jumbotron thing. First of all, is a full circle, like an oval. Rather than a square like you see it like Madison Square Garden. So not only is it the largest like sports arena TV, it's also the clearest, like with highest resolution and pixels and shit. It's fucking crystal clear, man. Nice. It's awesome. I need to go back. I got hooked. The roar of the crowd. Like most stadiums, it's built kind of concave-ish, so it's high steep. So what that means is no matter where you sit, your view's going to be good. And also when the crowd cheers, it gets loud as fuck. Yeah. It's awesome. Nice. So
that's great, man.
And plus, I bought my first hat that fucking fits. Jerrell knows, and all my friends know, I don't wear hats. Not because I don't like them, just I can't. Like, my head's too big. In fact, remember last time when we came back from the bye week, I said how we went to Disneyland. How I went to Disneyland, and I bought a hat there, but that was just mainly, I bought a bucket hat, mainly just to make sure myself doesn't become a literal redneck and just get sunburnt in the back of my head. Especially now that my hair is super short, it's like buzz cut. That hat didn't fit, and then I was like, fuck it. I was like, oh, let me get a Rams hat. It won't fit. They're like, we have different sizes. I'm like, oh, cool. And turns out I'm an extra large.
Right. Yeah, man, I'm glad you got the full football experience there. And then as far as video game experience, welcome to the Gamers for Life podcast. Yes. Video here, 50th episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel here on the YouTube. There aren't 50 video episodes because we just started this video thing. What was it, 7-8 episodes ago? But we'll continue to keep them coming as much as we can. If you want to check out the Twitch channel for Gamers for Life that Arthur manages, and then just anything related to Gamers for Life, the best way to do that is to go to linktree.com/Gamers for Life. That is the one-stop shop link for Gamers for Life. But yeah, be sure to like and subscribe to YouTube. Definitely would appreciate it. And you're in for a treat because there's just great fucking content here on the Gamers for Life podcast. And again, Arthur, 50th episode.
Yeah.
How does it feel? 50 episodes in on a podcast.
Fun. And also definitely, but I think COVID was a contributor to this as well.
Yeah.
Time flew by.
Time really did fly by.
I'm still under the thing of like, I'm in the category of like, hey, remember how crazy the COVID lockdowns were in 2020? Yeah, well, guess what? 2022 is in 3 months away. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm in that category where I'm still getting over 2020 with all the changes that happened there.
Yeah.
So I just really can't, again, I just really haven't wrapped my head around the 2020s in 3 months. So again, time flew by. Super fun. And man, did we pick a perfect time.
We really did.
To do gaming shit. Not only with like the launch of new consoles coming out, generation of consoles, but again, the fact that, as we discussed, gaming, shocker from the studies we've talked about, keeps people, healthy and sane.
Yeah.
Kept the country sane during fucking COVID.
Seriously. It literally did. Yeah, it's crazy, man, because I've done with all the podcasts that I've done like over 128 episodes of podcasting, and obviously 50 of them have been here, but yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, video games, it's funny, some way, shape, or form, politicians or other people, they try to, put a bad spin on it, but it generated more than any other medium combined in 2020.
Yeah.
So finally, they're finally starting just saying like, you know what, let's give this gaming thing a chance.
Yeah, I know. I feel like just now, I feel like the stigma's still there, but I feel like the running joke stigma of like the average gamer is like some adult man-child living in his mom's basement. Now, mind you, I say that as a man-child. I fucking live and breathe TV movie quotes. I don't give a fuck. But again, I feel like that collective stigma of, oh, you're an adult and you play games. Really? I think that's slowly going the wayside with it becoming more mainstream. Between fucking the president playing Mario Kart, AOC, trying Twitch, playing Among Us, and also mainly movies and shows. We mentioned how like there's a lot of new gamer movies with Monster Hunter, then there was fucking Sonic, and all these shows. Like, remember, like Netflix's next action plan is like almost entirely around games. They saw the success of the Witcher series with Henry Cavill. They've seen now the success of the animated movie that came out, and then just how many game things are dropping now and going to drop soon. Like this animated Monster Hunter movie I just watched, and all this, again, like all these other things, including, we'll talk about it more. Like Last of Us is still coming. Tom Holland's going to play young Nathan Drake and Uncharted. So yeah, I think, so again, I think there's a big picture being like an adult gamer, that stigma slowly, like comics, because comics have that same stigma. Yeah. Of like, oh, you want to go and party tonight? No, I'm reading comics. You fucking loser. Now, all of a sudden, 10 years later, oh my god, Avengers is amazing. Yeah, no shit. Where the fuck you been?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
not to be angsty, but again, it's like stuff we knew.
Yeah. And I like what you said as far as like the stigma of games not being just for like the your stereotypical nerd, living with their mom and it being like a derogatory thing where games are literally for everyone, and I even remember just like GameStop, some of the old school midnight launches, back in the day where you had like families like waiting in line for like the their favorite games and stuff like that, and like the whole family plays. Like I remember like he's like, yeah, there's an Xbox in every room in the house, just like stuff like that, and it's like it's not just like one person playing. Like this is a culture. Like this is a culture, and like of literally all ages, because there's literally all types of games. Like I love narrative games. Yep. You're big on RPGs and stuff like that. So it's just like it's I love this. I don't know what I wouldn't even be the same person if I didn't play games growing up.
Oh hell yeah. Speaking of speaking of the Rams and stuff, as much as I shit on the lottery system in sports games, but again, sports games, sports games are a huge family thing.
Absolutely.
You and I were there at the midnight launches. We had multiple families, parents and their kids, like show up in jerseys, and come out every year. I remember, my landlord 2 apartments ago, I technically knew her and her family before she became my landlord, because I remember I had this one family that were like diehard Rams fans, and they would come out like full gear for every midnight launch as if we're at a game. They would come out, in the jerseys. The dad would have like face paint. The kid his son would be in, like, again, full jersey, the hat, everything. Fast forward like 2 years, I'm like applying for a new apartment, and all of a sudden, like, that guy, the dad, he's like giving me a tour of the apartment. I'm just like, I know you. And he's like, and he's funny because he's like, he's like, oh, I didn't want to make it weird. I recognize you the second I met you. You're a GameStop guy. I'm like, yeah, I am a GameStop guy. so you met, it's as much as I, shit on some of the mechanics and lottery things with the family games. Again, it's like that's a family thing. It's a community thing. It's like any hobbyist. You can say, like, gaming is just much more than a hobby or form of entertainment.
Yeah,
it's so much more.
No, I had a moment like that too. I was in Compton with Julie because we were trying to get her registration stuff figured out, and we're walking to the parking lot, and this car drives and, like, stops in front of us, and the guy on the passenger side is like, "Hey, I know you, GameStop." And this is when I was working at the downtown store with you, and I was like, "Oh, hey, man," I was like, "Oh man, I'm glad I was nice to that guy."
Dude, on a side note, I don't know about you, but to this day, I've been recognized so much as GameStop guy.
Really?
So much.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just white guy working downtown Long Beach. But like, even like for years after, until the game, to this day, I left GameStop. Again, I'll be like getting a beer or something, or like, I went to Roscoe's like a few years back, and same shit. Like, the waiter was like, "I know you, GameStop." I'm like, "Yep." Yeah, and as much as I love the convenience of digital downloads, I can't not be nostalgic and remember, like, the quote unquote the golden era for midnight launches, because it was like a full out fucking event, man.
Yeah, definitely. No, like the Madden thing that you were just talking about, I remember one of the guys, he was like getting like his strategy guide, and he was just talking so much shit about the Dallas Cowboys, and he nearly had me and like the person I was working with in tears. Like, he was just so funny. But yeah, man, there's a lot of really good moments. I remember I was running the Gears of War 3 launch back in the day. The Injustice, I remember when that happened. Yeah. And our former coworker Amanda, she was like hit on, but then like she ended up playing with the guy like on Xbox Live, but just like disconnected because he was so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, dude.
Fucking raged quit.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not fucking with you, bro. You're not even a good gamer.
Yeah.
I was like, that's hilarious.
Qualifications. Like, oh, you want to go next Friday? I just fucking 4-0'd you. Get the fuck out of here.
Call of Duty. I remember the Call of Duty launch.
Dude.
Yeah.
Again, we mentioned how, like, gaming is, it's a community, it's a culture. I remember how big it was when Xbox for years researched and dropped that. I think it's called the I forget what it's called, the innovative controller. It's the one that's meant for like physical, like, handicaps or capabilities. Yeah. That, whether you're a kid or adult, and it was if you haven't seen the commercial, I really highly recommend watching it, because there are there's like, it's like kids that get injured, or they have like a birth defect. Yeah. And they finally they finally get to join their friends and playing all these games, thanks to that Xbox, to that Xbox controller and others like it. And again, that just shows, like how much, again, gaming is important to people. As a medium of art. I'll always be the first one to say, I remember, like I said, I remember playing a video game, Kingdom Hearts, in high school, and that was when I realized gaming is, in terms of storytelling, of immersion, of reaction, of emotionary reactions. Video gaming can be on par, if not better, than any movie or comic or anything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was funny. I would always talk about this with my game advisor, as far as just like the amount that you get out of a game. You know, back in the day when it was $60, as far as like hundreds of hours versus paying 15 for 2 hours. You know, or if that. You know, in a movie. It's like there's so much value when a game is good, obviously, but there's so much value, buying games and especially those games that have such like replay value and just a lot of content, a lot of hours.
Yeah, it's like if you watch a standalone movie that's not really based off anything, which is rare nowadays, which is rare in Hollywood nowadays, or has it been for like the past 2 decades. But it's like you get attached to these characters, and arguably for an hour and a half, anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 to 3 hours. Okay, well, imagine you can attach to these characters for like 30 hours, 100 hours, 200 hours.
Yeah.
And so when the story finishes, or like there's a death in the game, you're like, oh my fucking god. Like I still remember playing Kingdom Hearts 2. Sorry, spoiler for like a 15-year-old fucking game. But there's a point in the game where like where it's like Goofy like died. Mm-hmm. Again, just as a fan of Disney, you're like, fucking Goofy died, and then like again that was one of the few times where you can tell the developers knew what the reaction of the gamer would be. Tearjerker and anger, because that's why like you're like, I want to fuck shit up, and like next mission you're like, okay, go kill 1,000 enemies. You're like, yeah, let's go. And it was just like, again, it was one of those examples where the reaction you want to have is the reaction you want to have to this character situation is exactly what the game gave you.
Right.
It's so, and again, there's so many games that can do that.
Yeah, definitely. So here on the Gamers for Life podcast, we read the news where you can watch or listen to what you choose by clicking on the links of the time codes within the description of every episode. Today's going to be a little different because one's 50th anniversary, so a lot of it is just, shooting the shit, talk about games. There's a couple of news items here we can talk about here today, but this is not a normal episode where it's jam-packed, and also it's a slow news week as well.
Yeah, slow news week, and we just want to take this opportunity to shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Just go and keep it loosey-goosey.
Cheers to 50 more.
Yeah.
keep it rolling.
Fuck yeah.
So I guess just to kick off, I know we talked about PlayStation, and then obviously, it's a good carryover from last week, since, Sony did have their best showcase in quite some time, especially with, you saying the words like, oh, fuck, like, kind of want to buy a PS5, especially after seeing that KOTOR limited exclusivity for PlayStation. But obviously Deathloop, one of the biggest games for PS5, came out I want to say this past week or last week or whatever it may have been.
Yeah, it was a mix because there was like a lot, like you, I was watching a lot of early stuff, and I'm like, but it was like early, but it was like posted 5 days ago. Right. So I was like,
early game out, right?
Early gameplay posted 2 weeks ago. So wait, what?
So, but yeah, I mean, I was hearing quite a bit of, I don't have an article to revert to, but
that's my phone. Sorry.
But I know in general, like, there's at least from a console perspective for the PS5, a lot of really good reviews. I'm even hearing people say, this is actually the first game in a while worth really getting for the console, because I know before that there was Returnal, which was a really good one to have. There was one other one, but it's still slim pickings as far as like games that Ratchet and Clank, another one. But I know it's pretty slim pickings still when it comes to the PlayStation 5, and like reasons to have it. Like, and it's funny because like watching that showcase, it's like, fuck, like KOTOR is absolutely one of those games where it's like, I will buy a console for that.
Again, I immediately fucking Googled, is this exclusive? And if so, I'm buying a fucking PS5.
Right.
And then with Deathloop real quick, at least for consoles, especially PS5.
Yeah.
I got the article from GameRant here. To kind of sum up one of their opening sentences is it's being widely considered as a possible Game of the Year contender.
Wow.
So Deathloop's getting raving reviews. And one cool story I want to talk about, especially with Deathloop, is there's something happening on the PC right now where, even though for console wise, and it's really funny because it's usually the other way around,
right?
But for console PS5 being it's already being labeled a contender for Game of the Year, it's being review bombed by PC users, but not. entirely because of the game itself. It's just because it uses a program called Denuvo, Denuvo, and Denuvo kind of like put on my Jerrell hat here, reading from the article. Denuvo is an anti-tamper software that has faced criticism for its effect on performance. I'll just keep it like, because that kind of sums that up. So it's again, so you can't like super hack or mod the game, but again, programs like that, especially Denuvo, I think is one of the leading ones. Again, it's known for its performance where it's dropping frame rate, it's processing overall, stuff like that. So PC gamers are not happy because that program is definitely known, at least significantly within the PC gaming community. So it's just weird. It's just weird to see, again, in the literal same sentence, to see how it's being quote labeled potential game of the year for PS5, yet at the same time being review bombed for PC.
For PC, yeah. I was looking at it here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know why the fuck they would have a software like that, if especially or continue to have it on there, especially if it's going to affect the performance of the PC, version of the game, So I'm wondering if this, like, whose decision was this? Was this a Steam decision? Was this a Arcane decision? Like,
I think it might be Arcane, the developer itself, because here's the reason why this exists. Because if you're mentally picturing Deathloop as a single player, kind of futuristic style of what was their game?
What? Dishonored?
Dishonored, there you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're thinking like a futuristic version of Dishonored 1 or 2, you're not wrong. But remember, the reason this software exists is because there is a PvP aspect to the game. There is a multiplayer to the game. And where other games like fucking, Call of Duty are fucking notorious for hacking and bullshit, just because kind of like as a precursor or like a preactive step to kind of deter that. So people, again, don't tamper with the source code and shit and do all this crazy, stupid online hacking.
Yeah.
That's why that's there.
Let me read a little more here.
Go ahead.
I pulled it up. So it continues here in quote. It says, "This is not the first time users have complained about the performance issues for a game developed by Arcane Studios, as the PC version of Dishonored 2 was notorious for having problems on launch. Dishonored 2 was patched numerous times over the course of its life cycle, and it's disappointing to learn that users are facing problems in yet another game remade by the same studio. Being flooded by negative reviews is not an uncommon outcome for such situations, especially when the complaints against Denuvo have been well documented. Denuvo is also compatible with PS5, but its effect on performance for PS5 games remains to be seen." It says, "Even before the issues came to light, the release of Deathloop has been a heated topic of discussion given the nature of the exclusivity deal. Deathloop is a timed PS5 and PC exclusive till September 2022, despite the fact that Microsoft now owns Arcane Studios. As the exclusivity deal was announced before Microsoft's purchase of Bethesda, consumers wanted to play Xbox version have no option but to wait. On the brighter side, fans can hope that these issues are rectified when Deathloop launches on Xbox Game Pass for PC in September of next year." End quote. One thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, it's kind of on this topic and kind of not. I'm hearing people complain about this console tribalism, but I think it's in the wrong way, right? So the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of people that were really giving Sony crap for the timed exclusivity for the Knights of the Old Republic remake, right?
Yeah.
But part of me is like, bro, Microsoft bought fucking Bethesda, and Starfield is not coming out on PlayStation. I'm like,
ever.
Yeah, like ever. You know what I mean? So it's just like, these are the times we are living in where, we had this conversation in a couple different episodes as far as like there is a monopoly on these different developers and studios to really cater to these consoles. Like it's unfortunately it's a reality that we have to face. And for PlayStation, they're nowhere near on that type of trajectory of having those deals, because all of their exclusivity deals right now are timed, at least for these. Obviously Ratchet & Clank, we should never see that on a fucking Xbox console. But when it comes to games like this, it's like all they can do, at least for now, until otherwise, is these these timed exclusives. I did hear, obviously, the Spider-Man game for 2, that is exclusive on PlayStation, and the Wolverine game exclusive on PlayStation.
Oh.
So not coming to Xbox. And I'm hearing some more things, too, on that Wolverine. It's going to be pretty dope. I'm hearing, I don't know if it's true, but David Hayter, who voiced Metal Gear Solid from Snake, I hear he's going to voice Wolverine.
That'll be a good voice.
I'm going to shit my pants, bro, if that's the case, because that's my favorite game of all time, Metal Gear Solid, especially with David Hayter, so... but back to this, as far as the exclusivity stuff, people being like, man, I was like, look, guys, like Xbox, there's rumors online now of them having another big acquisition, and I don't know who else they bought, but this is kind of the times we're living in, man, as far as this exclusivity, and I know it sucks for those people that want to buy both, and financially they just can't afford to do so, and they have to pick and choose unless they're doing like a Game Pass PC thing and one of the consoles to choose. This is kind of what we have to deal with, unfortunately.
So there's a few things I take from the article, especially what you just said. So first thing, the fact that this game is exclusively timed for a year makes me very nervous for Knights of the Old Republic. Because remember our last episode we were talking about like, yeah, timed exclusive for 3 months. All of a sudden, like, oh, Deathloop's exclusive for a year. A fucking year? Dude, if Knights of the Republic is timed for a year, I'm buying a PS5.
I don't blame you, bro, because I thought it was gonna be the standard 90 days or whatever it is. So if it's gonna be a year, I mean that's a lot of fucking time.
What was the last game we talked about? Remember there was one game we talked about when Preston was here, where it had a timed exclusive for 24 hours.
Oh, it was funny. I think we were talking about Deathloop, but I knew the release date was the same day of like it being an exclusive or something, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I think they adjusted it because we really didn't know when it was gonna.
Yeah, they didn't put the year.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Whoever typed that article stopped at the date. So it was like the game launches. Let's say the game launches like September 15th, and all of a sudden it was like timed exclusive until September 15th. Okay. enjoy those precious few hours, PS5 players.
Dude.
Okay, so so one thing, again, a few things I got from this article, or especially the tail end of it there, was me now being worried of how long Knights of the Republic will be a timed exclusive. Mm-hmm. The second thing with as I knocked down my party hat.
No worries.
Is this once again just shows, and remember, this is technically a Bethesda game. The days of consumers, including PC users, which is weird because, again, this is a Bethesda launch and has to deal with PC. This just shows the collective community and your consumer basis, collectively is over the whole thing of making a semi-working game at launch and fixing it as it goes.
Yeah.
Which, again, Bethesda is arguably, Cyberpunk was a fail, but whereas Cyberpunk, I would argue Cyberpunk as an exception to that developer, to CD Projekt Red, whereas Bethesda is a consistent company that does that just releases buggy as shit games, fixes as it goes, or even doesn't even fix and just lets the bugs fly because for years up until recently, the gaming community and consumers have been a quote unquote okay with the bugs. We're like, yeah, well, it has bugs. What are you gonna say? It's a Bethesda game. But again, now it's like, no, like make it fucking work.
Right.
Which so seeing this, connecting it to Starfield, again, this is a precursor for what we're gonna see, especially with Bethesda games of once again, Bethesda's days of making games that do not work at launch and fixing as time goes on. Those days are gone.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry. I'm nervous about Starfield.
I mean, I think you're rightfully so, right? Especially with the track record that Todd Howard and Bethesda's put us through. Obviously, we've had that conversation time and time again, but still relevant as far as for Starfield. I have high hopes for Starfield, but I absolutely am nervous as well. And the thing about it is, I feel like for Starfield, even though we knew that it's coming out before Elder Scrolls 6, and it's like 20 years in the making or some shit. Usually we've had this conversation as far as like that's not a good thing,
Not anymore.
Yeah, like the whole Last Guardian thing as far as 10 years in the making, and then the game came out and it looked like it's been made over the course of 10 years.
Last Guardian, No Man's Sky,
Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Again, the previous positive phrase of in the making for X years is now like, oh no.
Right. Yeah. So rightfully so, man. We'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully they can kind of reconcile those things. And Phil Spencer, I know he's been doing a really good job letting everybody know, updates on the games and whatnot, not even really needing to as well. He's done a really good job with that. So we'll just have to see what happens with some of these other Bethesda titles.
Will you play Deathloop when it comes out for Xbox?
It's a good question. Because originally I would just play it on PC. But
Let me rephrase that.
after reading this,
I was like, let me rephrase that. Okay, look. Okay, yeah, I guess it's fair to my point now.
Because it's going to be on Game Pass PC, which is probably going to be better than Steam PC. So if I do play it, it's probably going to be Game Pass PC.
Yeah, I think Deathloop's to me like one of those games where like I'm going to play it, but what's going to push me over the edge to play it is it was on Game Pass. Like, put it this way. I'm not saying Deathloop looks bad. I'm just saying, hey, would you pay $70? Would you pay $70 to play Deathloop? No.
Yeah.
Would you play if I was on Game Pass? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that's kind of how it's like. Honestly, that's kind of how I am with like Back 4 Blood. Like if it wasn't on Game Pass, I probably wouldn't play it just because it's a multiplayer game. It shines the best on multiplayer. So like if I'm not playing with you and like our the folks that we play with, like there's
no
really
point.
there's no point. There's a lot of games that are that have come out that have been like that. So staying on PlayStation
And staying on Game Rant.
Yes, it's staying on Game Rant. Shout out to Game Rant, by the way. Interesting article here that they have as well. It says here in the title of the article, Cory Barlog explains why God of War Ragnarok is ending the Norse story after just 2 games. It says here, God of War Ragnarok, in the subtitles, God of War Ragnarok was recently announced to be the end of the series' Norse story. Its former director, Cory Barlog, explains why. It says here, after just 2 games, God of War Ragnarok is concluding the Norse story. In an interview, God of War's director, Cory Barlog, explains the decision to wrap the story up in a God of War Ragnarok. Since Ragnarok's showing at PlayStation Showcase in 2021, fans have been speculating about all new content that was shown and discussed, from the litany of new characters, glimpses of the new locations, and teases of potential conflicts. There are a variety of threads here waiting to be analyzed. No thread is larger, though, than the bombshell that God of War Ragnarok will be ending the Norse saga, which was delivered by the game's director, Eric Williams, following the PlayStation Showcase. Naturally, this has been sparked questions about just where the game's narrative is going and why this part of the story is being told in 2 parts instead of a trilogy. Cory Barlog, in an interview with Captain Kuba, explains the decision to end the Norse saga of God of War Ragnarok. When asked why they're ending the story just after 2 games, Barlog responds saying, I think one of the most important reasons is the first game took 5 years. The second game, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm just going to throw out that it's going to take a close to similar time. With this figure in mind, Barlog conjectures that if it's a story that was told across 3 games, it would mean 15 years of the single story, and for Barlog, that is just way too long. To the dismay of the entertainment fans, Barlog has been cryptic with information about Ragnarok in the past, so the directness of his answers here is a nice change of pace. Following the initial response, Barlog elaborates on the decision, speaking about the intent of God of War's story and the state of his team. After figuring out what Eric's vision of the game was, Barlog recalls his thought process, saying, look, I think we can actually do this in a second story, because most of what we're trying to do from the beginning was to tell something about Kratos and Atreus. And the core of the story's engine is really the relationship between those 2 characters. Rather than the spread out of his personal story between Kratos and Atreus across 3 games, Barlog, though, it can be done in 2. I'm just going to end there. See, I feel like there's a logical reason, but then there's the business mind reason. Okay, so from a logical standpoint, yes, this could be told in a much shorter time span. But when it comes to a game that is one of the biggest IPs of PlayStation exclusive, I'm surprised Jim Ryan didn't call and say, like, who are you to say that this ends early? You know what I'm saying? Like,
which would have been probably Jim Ryan's like only good decision recently.
you know, like, I understand the logic behind it as far as like this is taking an exuberant amount of time.
Like 15 years for one linear story, or not linear, but 15 years for one continuing story.
Yeah. Maybe not exuberant, but just a long period of time. And like you said, you know, and that the fact that it could be wrapped up, but I feel like there's a meet between creative control and then the Nintendo theory as far as just stretching out titles, remaking them, expanding them. And granted, they may not have deep stories like this, you know, or authentic stories like this versus just characters. And, you know, it's a new environment. Go play it. Go have fun. But I feel like to just end the story in 2 games, okay, does that mean there's no more God of War after this?
My question came of like, okay, well, is this the end of the saga? What, you know, is this the quote unquote the end of God of War? Where do we see the future of God of War? Now, mind you, going back to the original announcement that this was going to exist, you know, I lost my shit over it because to a point we thought that, you know, the saga Kratos' story ended with God of War 3. You know, it was ambiguous. You know, he fell into oblivion. But spoiler, with this game existing, he didn't die. Sorry. if me talking about a sequel to a game's a fucking spoiler for 2 games ago. It's like God of War 5 exists. Oh, do you mean he didn't die in part 3? No. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, when he says like 15 years for like one story, I'm like, okay, I kind of get that. That's like half as long as I've been alive.
Yeah.
But I have a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory.
Ooh.
I think the reason why this is ending with this next game, is because Fat Thor will be too tired.
He only has one game in him.
Fat Thor just wakes up. I can only do this once, guys.
That's hilarious.
I can't do this twice.
That is fucking hilarious.
Now, mind you, if you haven't seen it, it wasn't shown in the trailer, but after the trailer, pictures online posted from Sony or somebody showed what Thor's gonna look like. And it's not Chris Hemsworth from the first Avengers. It's like Chris Hemsworth like in Endgame.
Right.
Which is
he's really representing the gamer.
Do you know what flows through my blood? Cheetos.
It's so funny because I kind of fuck with the design too, as far as like him being just a bigger dude, but it doesn't mean he's not any less stronger, you know?
Oh no, I'm totally here for it, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and you know, and there have been stories amongst itself just for that picture alone, like how one of the world's like top bodybuilders is like, yeah, that's what I look like. That's a bodybuilder's body. And again, from all those like facts aside, how like, you know, that's a bodybuilder, blah blah blah. Again, I just thought it was funny, people's reactions.
Yeah, you know, there's gonna be like cosplays around this too. You know,
shit, I can do that. Grow my beard out.
We do.
Let my hair grow long again.
Get some redness there.
Yeah, eat some more Cheetos. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, because this is one of those, like, again, like you said, like if that's the thing, this ends with 2 stories. I mean, this point where like, I'm not sure if I want the saga to die, but it's like, I felt like almost to a point like we didn't ask for it, we didn't deserve it, but that's why it was so hyped when they showed that Kratos and God of War was going to keep going.
Yeah,
I think that's why the first game, other than the game itself, but the hypeness for it was that big. Is like we had a nice closure ending to part 3. And then wham, like fucking the new God of War got announced.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think my tinfoil hat is whoever's directing it now. I forgot his name because I know Corey Barlog was the former director. He's here to wrap up this game, and they're probably going to get rid of him and bring a different team in, and just redo the series and have it be like a different point in time or something, probably.
Is God of War going to start being like Assassin's Creed of just other eras and mythology?
Oh my God! Take
like
a book from Ubisoft.
Yeah, take a note from Ubisoft, and like the next Thor is like in the Nile. Fuck you, Raw! I'm gonna kill you.
I don't know, bro. We'll
Kratos
see.
just walks up to Sobek, who, for those who don't know, is a giant alligator. And the only reason I know that is because of the game Smite. Anytime you hear me talk about mythology, that's like quote unquote unknown mythologies because the game Smite. But like fucking Kratos just walks up to Sobek. What's up, future pair of shoes? What's up, future boots?
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's still weird. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. You remember the guy's name of the guy who's the mastermind of Last of Us? I'm trying to think.
Neil Druckmann?
Yes. Like, imagine if Neil Druckmann was just like, yeah, I'm only doing one more of these and fuck it. You know what I mean? Like,
That'd just be one more reason to say fuck you, Neil Druckmann.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they're like Jim Ryan would obviously call him and be like, "Hey, so I know you're really close on this story, but this is like the highest selling, like one of the highest selling IPs of the console. Let's talk about this."
Yeah, this is like one of the few times we want the big businessman Jim Ryan to be like, "Hey, this made us a lot of money. Make a new one."
Yeah, yeah, like please. Yeah, so I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens. But I definitely, I don't. If the intent of them finishing the story is to in fact end God of War, I think they're out of their minds. Like,
yeah.
Sony would not allow that.
I will say real quick before we move on, that guy's name just sounds like a cool NPC name. Carl Balrog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely seems like a guy like, oh, I gotta make a decision. He's, he wants me to find this thing.
just sounds like a name out of like a Tolkien book or something.
Yeah. Interesting last name, definitely. So if we were to cross paths back into the land of Xbox, rather, well, not really land of Xbox. We're talking about the music industry within the gaming industry, and unfortunately, this composer is getting the short end of the stick with a court hold of the composer in contempt, unfortunately. And this composer I'm referring to is the one that is from, was it Destiny, right? Ordered to pay Bungie almost $1,000.
You read that wrong.
Okay, court holds Halo's composer in contempt, ordered to pay Bungie almost $100,000.
100,000. No, use it.
100,000.
Use it 1,000.
Oh.
I'm like, you're 99.
I was about to say in contempt for only $1,000.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 100,000.
I can
Sorry,
say, like,
six figures.
Yes, 100. Yeah, it's like some next news. The composer forgot to work on a parking ticket.
I know, right?
That's the next news story. No, yeah. So the previous composer for Halo, now the composer for Destiny, has to pay $100,000.
So yeah, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck's happening? So let's read this article here. This is from TechSpot, and it says here in quote, in a nutshell, Bungie's former audio director for Destiny has been found in contempt of court for continually using the game's assets after leaving the employ of the game developer. Marty O'Donnell was caught uploading multiple music clips from Destiny to the internet in violation of the previous court order. Damn, they intended this guy. Eurogamer notes the case started in 2014 when O'Donnell tweeted that he had been fired from Bungie without reason while working on the music for Destiny. For the game's E3 trailer, Activision was replaced by O'Donnell's composition with music from another artist, and Bungie subsequently archived his music. When O'Donnell was fired, Bungie demanded the return of, in quote, all materials related to his work on the project. Music of the Spheres and Destiny. It also filed an injunction in 2015 preventing him from performing or sharing any of the work. O'Donnell returned all of his finished work, but in 2019 started uploading materials related to the music of the Spheres and Destiny to YouTube and Bandcamp. Much of the material was early work on the projects and not finished product, but Bungie said all materials meant everything. Marty O'Donnell said in a tweet, said here in quote, I'm saddened to say that Bungie's board of directors terminated me without cause on April 11th, 2014. Continuing on, it says here that Dr. O'Donnell, or Mr. O'Donnell's very possession of such materials proves that he did not comply with the order to return all material to Bungie. Reads the Bungie's motion for contempt. It says here that Bungie argued of O'Donnell's actions were flagrant violation of the injunction. Superior Court of Washington, King County agreed, ruled that O'Donnell intentionally disobeyed the 2015 court order. Let's see. Now O'Donnell must allow a forensics team to go through his electronic devices to delete any related material. God damn. He is also ordered to take down anything that he has posted and contact any third party he is aware of who might share the material.
Homie better control H before they fucking show up. Dougie's like...
The last... I'm kind of skipping here, but the last paragraph says, O'Donnell is further ordered to pay Bungie everything he earned from his boot camp postings, legal fees, and the cost of forensic examination. All told, he must shell out nearly $100,000. His lawyers are contesting the amount, calling it unreasonable, even though, if he won, he would owe a lot of money to the lawyers too. As of his writing, O'Donnell has yet to post the court-ordered message. However, has removed all of his related YouTube videos, Bandcamp, and SoundCloud tracks. He also deleted the Twitter account, but later restored it. He is now asking his followers to buy the Golem soundtrack to help cover the amount of legal fees. O'Donnell declined to comment on the matter, and Bungie representative referred to Eurogamer in the contempt ruling, citing the company cannot comment on ongoing litigation, end quote. Fuck.
So, here's my question. This guy wrote the music. He composed it. He's currently 66 years old. Do you think this was, like, and I'm sure the court is going to ask us at some point, or we're beyond that, sounds like. Do you think it was like malicious intent? He was like, fuck you, I made this music, I'm going to use it. Or it was just an old man moment of, I'm going to put this music I made in the background of one of my videos.
No, I think it might have been a bit of both, to be honest. I think it was a bit of both, and I think this is an interesting thing too, because I talk about the music industry a lot on the Music Buds podcast with Preston and Chris. Definitely check that out when you get the chance.
Hey.
But when it comes to the gaming industry, unfortunately, a lot of these contracts are kind of more the same as far as just, hey, when you sign this, we own the rights to anything that you make on a project, So for this situation, unfortunately, this guy was fired. Hey, deliver, you have to, all the stuff that you use for this project, send it to us. And you can't use anything, after the fact. And it sucks because this is the guy who did he did some of the Halo stuff, right?
Previous Halo composer, currently still or was with Bungie, long enough to get to Destiny.
He's a phenomenal fucking composer. Like his music is beautiful.
I listen to the Halo song at work like probably twice a week.
Like that, to me, like that literally. Without if the music wasn't as good, I would never have played Halo.
Yeah,
like to be completely honest, just because there's so many first person shooters. Obviously, when it comes to Halo and how it controls, there is a specialization there from the developers. But when it comes to the aura of the world and feeling the urgency of the matters within the story, the music is absolutely a crucial thing.
Halo 3 fucking Warhog run. Dude.
Yeah.
Still
insane.
I still watch videos of that. It gives me chills.
Yeah.
Great. If you've not played Halo 3 for whatever fucking reason, it's on Game Pass. Go play it. Yeah. And unlike fucking Halo Infinite, it's cooperative.
Yeah. God
damn
dang it. Yeah. Please fix that. 343. So this is sad. Like you said, this guy's 66. He's not swimming in money like a lot of these high-end epic studios guys, the presidents of these studios.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like 100. Like if they're suing him for $100,000, how much was he paid for his work? Because for them to be like, you owe us $100,000, they have to be like, you have that.
I mean, in theory, you would think
to a point. I mean, because otherwise they're like just taking him. They're like, you're just fucking ringing him. I can't. I can't think of the right phrase when it comes to legal reasons, but just like they're fucking draining them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that sucks too, because I'm like picturing, because I mentioned how I almost had the chance to go to a John Williams concert, and that's just like, to me, it's like, it's not apples to apples, but it's like, I feel like, if there's breaking news that like Kathleen Kennedy, who's in charge of the Star Wars with Disney, is suing, all of a sudden sues fucking John Williams.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, what the, that, you know what I mean? Just like,
yeah. And he's almost 90 years old, I think, right?
Yeah, he's up there. This was arguably, it hasn't been confirmed by Minstein that this was arguably his last concert last weekend.
Wow.
So again, just hey, again, that's him uploading this stuff. I can't know if it was like malicious, like fuck you guy, fuck you Bungie. I made this. I'm using it how I want. Versus like some old guy. Oh yeah, I use this. Let me right click here and use it as background.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like an old guy moment.
Yeah. It's upsetting. To me, it's like, I don't know. It's exactly what you said, as far as I don't know if this was a malicious intent or if he had an old man moment and didn't read his contract thoroughly, Because
the fact it's again for $100,000, that's like almost like personal. It's like versus, hey man, you fucked up. We told you to stop. You didn't. Yeah, $75,000, $50,000. Versus like, hey O'Donnell, 100 G's, my guy. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, they did like, he like pissed in someone's shoes. He walked out like, fuck.
It almost does sound like, like it's a personal vendetta or something.
Yeah, there's something between Bungie and that.
That's fucked up, man. Like if he did a GoFundMe, or if I mean, I don't know how tech savvy is as far as like, Twitch and whatnot, but he would absolutely get donations and people would send him money, because it's like, dude, you gave us some of the greatest compositions in video game history. Like, whatever, like, I'll give you money.
Oh, top five songs in gaming history. It's like Halo, Skyrim.
Yeah.
I mean, Halo's one of like the fermented, like unarguable fucking GOAT of a fucking gaming soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, obviously like the Mario, anything Mario Brothers, like Super Mario and stuff, it's like you hear that, you're like, it's like some of the most like iconic music. Even people that don't even play games know that music, and Halo is damn near like out there, similar to that when it comes to just people that are familiar with shooters. So.
I still remember, I think it was the New York Jets. It was the East Coast football team. I remember he was the one that started the whole Halo, that started the meme, that started all the trend of singing Halo in the men's bathroom.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
It was like some football player. He was like a tight end or something. He was a big dude, and apparently the acoustics in like his gyms, or his men's locker room, the acoustics was like perfect for him to do the orchestral classic. Oh,
nice.
And then that's what started the whole all of a sudden colleges and high schools across the country, men just started going to the men's bathroom and singing Halo. Dude, oh yeah, man. And again, so the more I think about this, it just sucks. And I wonder if Bungie's stock took a 2-point hit or some shit like that, because this is definitely bad PR for them.
Yeah,
they'd be like,
I think so. Hey, if anything, it's not just I hope they get their money. No, this is like you said, no one's looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah, in terms of lawsuits, again, not apples to apples. Not apples to apples, as a tape thing moved.
That's fine.
The Apple, speaking of apples, the Epic versus Apple trial, everyone was like, fuck Apple, Epic, let's go. Versus this, it's like, Bungie, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Do we want to talk about that? As far as for the, how that panned out, the Apple Epic trial?
Oh, yeah.
So.
I felt like this week was flown by.
Yeah. So, folks, as you know, when it comes to the Apple Epic trial, we've been following this for quite a bit now.
It's over.
It is over. There has been an official verdict, and I know the Judge Gonzalez.
Good job, Judge.
Yeah, good job, Judge. Definitely. I think it was definitely a fair verdict, if anything. And let me read a little bit of this here. So it says here, from The Verge, pulling this here. So as you're in court on Friday, the California judge ruled that on the influential Epic versus Apple trial, both sides lost. So it says here that Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers concluded that Apple wasn't unfairly monopolizing the mobile app space with the iOS or its in-app purchasing system. And she ordered Epic to pay damages for violating its developer agreement with Fortnite, which we predicted was going to happen.
Yeah.
At the same time, she ordered Apple to remove all of its anti-steering rules, policies banning developers telling others about alternatives to Apple's in-game purchasing system. For readers outside those two companies, though, Judge Gonzalez-Rogers' opinion has a lot to offer. Rogers clearly considers much of Epic and Apple's behavior silly, and many of both companies' arguments bad. But she seriously examines all these arguments and lays out a blueprint for further legal arguments about mobile platforms, app monopolies, and modern antitrust law. Let's see. There's a lot of...
I called it. This was going to be a precedent case.
Yeah.
I mean, how could it not be? I mean... Like there was like only me said that, haha. Go on.
Oh, no worries. So I'm just trying to figure out where to continue. So let me read this, and then I want to read this quote that I want on a T-shirt. What it says here: Apple doesn't have a monopoly in mobile gaming yet. So it says here, despite Apple's considerable power and profit margins, these factors alone do not allow antitrust conduct. Success is not illegal, which is the quote I want to have on my T-shirt. Gonzalez-Rogers concludes, while Epic argued that iMessage and other factors deliberately lock users into iOS, Gonzalez-Rogers wasn't convinced by this line of reasoning. The ruling leaves the door open for future antitrust complaints. The evidence does not suggest that Apple is near a precipice of substantial market power, monopoly power with its considerable market share. Gonzalez-Rogers writes that Apple is only saved by the fact that its share is not higher and that competitors from related submarkets are making inroads into the mobile gaming submarket, and perhaps because Epic did not focus on this topic. For now, though, this judgment undercut Epic's allegation that Apple maintained a monopoly or unlawfully restrained trade under the Sherman Act, helping take down 4 of its claims against Apple. The ruling says that by this extension, it means that Apple didn't violate California's Cartwright Act, taking down 2 or more of the claims. A 7th claim say that iOS was an essential facility that Apple had unfairly denied access to, but Epic didn't seriously argue this claim, and for mobile app developers, Gonzalez-Rogers says web apps and other digital platforms provide a reasonable, if not ideal, distribution alternative. So I'm going to end quote there just because there's a lot in play on here when it comes to this, but when it comes to the main meat and potatoes of this, Epic had a contract with Apple. Epic said fuck you, and they didn't provide that 30%, and now they owe like I want to say the money that they owe for the damages. It's not that much.
So yeah, the
comparatively,
I mean,
it's like $7 million, I think. I'm not sure, but
yeah, which is chump change to them.
Yeah, it's like wipe my ass with that.
So the opening line that said both lost, I mean, I'd argue isn't entirely true. You can definitely say that Apple lost harder, which is good.
Yeah.
This court case was a dangerous precedent. Because of like the monopoly, especially on all the app stores. Fucking Apple.
Yeah.
I still say it. Fuck Apple. For more reasons than one. And just to let you know, for those of you Apple that they're like are Apple users, how much this meant to Apple. Of all their app store revenue, 70% is mobile gaming.
Yeah.
So again, this was a big precedent for Apple, and they lost. Good, rightfully so. Yeah. Pretty much what it was is yes, Epic broke their contract and did their own thing, but it's because Apple's contract was so shitty, borderline monopoly antitrust, which it is. Now it's finally out there because we're talking about like how is this multi-billion-dollar industry? There's so much like no laws, no regulations, no definitions. Remember that shit show? I think it was the third day. Remember that shit show? And they were just talking about the random shit like, is an Xbox a PC? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like why again, that was the third day I think it was the third day of the trial, where I was like comparing fucking the trial to fucking Google CEO and Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook CEO and founder. going to Washington, going to Capitol Hill and explaining shit, and like half the fucking questions were just old people fucking IT support of I have an iPhone and when I order Uber Eats it knows where I live. That's invasion of privacy. Like shut the fuck up. God, it's such a fucking embarrassment. Seriously, if you guys want to watch comedy that hurts, because these are the people that run our fucking country,
It's pretty bad.
go watch the Zuckerberg when Zuckerberg goes to Capitol Hill and when the Google guy goes to Capitol Hill, because at some point it just divulges into stupid fucking shit.
Yeah, like if he had if all those senators and all those people in there, if they were like the ages of like 18 to 25, he probably would have been sweating a lot more because they obviously are familiar with the technology.
Dude, they're just like, when I send a picture to my daughter, my phone now knows my daughter's number. Man, like, God.
Yeah.
But I will say with this, I'm glad that Apple fucking lost, and and now they say, so now I think the biggest thing from this court thing is now that Apple is now required to not lock out advertising other venues of where you can buy shit. Like, case in point, remember that it was like a workout app. Remember that guy? That guy he got fucked over with some backdoor
retaliation.
Some backdoor shit.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't talk about, there was a guy that had a health app that took the stand against Apple, rightfully so, because he said that other than the app, this guy has his own website, and because there's merchandise on his website, Apple would never let him advertise his own website. So as far as Apple users are concerned, this guy's business is 100% in the App Store, when that's not true. Like, you couldn't even, like, that's crazy. Like, again, imagine you have your own website for stuff, and you have an app for it, and then Apple's like, no, your website, according to us, your website does not fucking exist. Like, right. Jesus. And I remember all of a sudden, suddenly, his app stopped working for 30 days for unknown reasons the day after he takes the fucking stand. Some crazy shit.
Yeah. So I think the kind of like the lingering question marks when it comes to a legal entity of this particular case. This is a huge fucking case, and the things that are lingering, and unfortunately Epic couldn't really prove, as far as for Apple being a monopoly amongst this. And then the biggest thing is that you have these, gaming makes, billions, if not trillions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to these legal proceedings, when it comes to antitrust and whatnot, antitrust in general is something that has been in the legal system. But when it comes to the definitions of these consoles, what they do, that is very much a question mark in their legal definitions, So even though they say like, okay, like, well, what is the actual legal definition of this device and how does it defer to this? And the reason why that's important is because if a company is using this device to monetize, and you have an Apple Epic situation or a Microsoft Apple situation of someone thinks that someone fucked something else over, these definitions need to be identified in how they monetarily make money, so we don't have a situation like this where one company can just end up, in fact, being a monopoly. You know what I mean? So I feel like this is such an important case because it's kind of the first of its kind.
Yeah. So in terms of like tech, again, correct. In terms of tech and like lawsuits and litigation, just over litigation, like definitions, again, this was a first major one. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have this, we both see the same article.
Yeah.
And like, that was the party had knocked over again. One of the, again, the things that just angers me and shows like how much, the law is so far behind on this tech. One of the questions is legally, we still don't know what a game is yet because it hasn't been legally defined.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is this form of entertainment that has existed for going on now nearly 50 fucking years, we still don't have fucking legal shit on it?
Yeah.
Like, other than like rights, but like other than who owns what,
right?
In terms of copyrights, but beyond copyrights, beyond trademarks, there's really not a lot of major legal foundations for this industry.
And then also too, you have you don't have people to represent it appropriately as well. Because if they're not defining it, the same way that they have criminal lawyers, that they have education lawyers, things like that. There needs to be ones for games as well. So it seems like there's a whole legality around the gaming industry that needs to be figured out, and there needs to be people that are representing it, not those those folks that are like, what does this do to my Uber Eats kids?
Yeah,
it's like, how can you represent me as a company?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor, this isn't you're not supposed to do it on your iPhone. I'm sorry, Your Honor, this isn't a phone. This is an iPod. This is an iPod that plays music and lets me make calls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, that's not a PC. That's a typewriter from the future. Again, one of those, they had to argue for like 3 hours of what is an Xbox. And we're just like, what do you mean? Like, what dinosaur fuck is like, what is that? Back in my day, the roads were full of horses. Like fuck, dude. Like, this is a billion-dollar company. These are billion-dollar companies, and you have to put these fucking trials on hold for fucking Microsoft paperclip. Hi, I hear you don't know what electricity is. You fuck, like.
Right.
Sorry, just again, there's like billions of dollars in the entire industry at stake, and it's like, what's an Xbox? What's a video game? Is it like the TV?
Yeah, and like we said before too, man, like, even though Epic lost as well, but like you said, that they make $300 million a month on Fortnite alone, so
they
pay the little fine and go about their day.
Yeah, so I'm sure Tim Sweeney to Tim Cook is like, oh, $7 million, cool, let me just fart that out real quick.
It's like, I'm the better Tim here.
So again with Apple, I think the biggest result of this case is, one, a precedent was not set in the wrong direction. That's good. And two, via court order, Apple has to release its fucking grip on revenue sources. Yeah. Which is great. Again, which is good. It's like,
and Tim Cook wanted to lie and be like, oh, it's a security reason. Like, no, it's not.
Shut the fuck up. Like, and then he remember also he went on that fucking rant how the world's better because Apple exists. We're like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
that's ridiculous.
It's like, the world's better because Apple exists. Like, no.
It's like, wow, that line of cocaine really worked out for you.
I know, man. Nothing
in that speech.
Nothing gets your confidence going than lingering cocaine from the 80s. like, hey Apple, the world's better because you exist. Oh, that means your devices are super easy to repair, right? Ugh.
Exactly.
See you in court next month on that, you dumb fucks.
Oh, man. Well, I think that's a good way to end here. We're about over an hour. Again, 50th episode here. Not too many news stories, but a couple prominent ones here. I'm glad we remembered the Epic Apple one. But
yeah. I don't know. I think we both had like a pretty busy week, so like some things just went under our mental radar of like stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Anything that happened before Sunday is like, I don't remember it. I just remember going to my first football game, fucking half losing my voice and being like, oh yeah, games. But hey, man, anytime I get a shit on Apple and Tim Cook, I'll fucking take it.
There you go. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for the Gamers for Life podcast, each and every Saturday discussing all things games. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrell, with my co-host, Arthur Thomas.
That's me. Happy 50.
Happy 50. Cheers. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.